Hi all, Rick here. Video, go. The ablative armour that Admiral Janeway brought back to the USS Voyager was an incredibly powerful and undoubtedly cool looking form of protection that foiled even the Borg's advanced weaponry. It was developed in an alternate 2404 that never came to pass, and now that the Star Trek timeline is moving into the 25th century, we've yet to see hide nor hair of this amazing development. So where is it? So, as with the transphasic torpedoes, the Ablative Generator was stripped from Voyager when it returned to the Alpha Quadrant because of its origin. Although a Starfleet innovation, it was now displaced to 2378 by Janeway's time travel and therefore subject to the Temporal Prime Directive. As far as excuses for its vanishing, that can be the end of it if you wish, but I want to look deeper. I explored the fate of the torpedoes already, but suffice to say this was a development that Starfleet was already working on and was simply keeping quiet as an anti-Borg weapon they didn't want to risk adaptation to. The deployable ablative armour, however, was a completely new innovation. While regular ablative armour was already seeing attachment to ships expected to see battle like the Defiant class, this futuristic version was retractable and built for a different situation. I think if we look at its development in the abandoned timeline, we can see partly why it was never seen now. Voyager, more than any other Starfleet vessel, had a lot of time to explore and modify its own systems with Borg tech, and the acquisition of 7 of 9 cannot be underestimated. Her expansive knowledge base of Borg upgrades did much of the heavy lifting in implementing them. We know that Admiral Janeway was haunted by her refusal to use the transwarp hub and clearly had spent a great deal of her life after returning home developing exactly what she would need to confront the Collective. The deployable ablative armour was a molecular nanotech armour plating. The inclusion of such nanotech and the fact it came from Janeway's development circle probably meant that it was Borg-inspired, but this is speculation. The Collective might have the most efficient nanoprobes, but such tech is hardly monopolised. A series of generators were placed around the vessel that were essentially specialised replicators that created these nanites, each a microscopic molecule in a chain of armour that covered a section of the vessel until the entire thing was shrouded. In addition, it tied in the regular shield grid, containing the layer in a graviton sheath of energised space. This meant that the armour had to be specialised and formatted for each specific vessel it was being introduced to. You could not simply plug and play the equipment, and for Janeway, she only had one Intrepid-class starship in mind. A vessel which did not have any such armour beyond 24th century hull plating. Well, that and her Starfleet Command shuttlecraft SC-4, which acted as a sort of testbed for the tech. The advantage of this armour was that so long as the generators received power, they could replicate new nanites and repair the armour as it was attacked, making it very difficult to pierce. So here problem 1 presents itself. It had to be tailored for each class of starship. It only worked for the Intrepid class because that had been Admiral Janeway's sole focus, to provide such powerful defences to a starship that never had them before. So this makes it time-consuming to retrofit onto prior ships. However, any new vessel developed by Starfleet could be designed to house it from the start. But then that points out a new caveat. If a vessel was being made to have such regenerative hull armour, then why would they not just build it into the existing hull armour from the start? The ablative generators were only there to create armour where none had existed. There is no need to make the whole deployable system of replicators and nanomachines when you can just bake it into the ship's frame from day one. In apocryphal material, we do see that self-repairing and adapting hull armour is entering service around the 25th century, so this could simply be a more practical application of the same technology, despite how much cooler the armour generator looks. So, alongside practicality and the temporal prime directive, another factor is that the Borg Queen did successfully assimilate Admiral Janeway and her knowledge of the armour, meaning that the Borg could have begun adaptation to it, rendering it useless with study, as they do. For a while after this, in the Prime timeline, the fate of the Borg was unknown, and Starfleet may have written off the armour as a waste of time to develop now, as it was something the Borg knew of. This is the primary reason cited in the novels, and likely a case in the Prime timeline too. But now we have an end to the Borg, well, more or less. Perhaps Starfleet might feel safer developing such tech, now that the one threat that could compromise it is gone. Overall, I'm not saying that the tech doesn't work well or is just faded from use, just that it's simply not as universally applicable as some may think. Going forwards, it might be seen as selectively deployed on newer designs to shield sensitive areas that otherwise might need to be exposed, like a deflector, bridge, window port or sensor system. But the overall coverage seen on Voyager was a case of creating this technology on a massive scale to cover an entire vessel not originally designed for hardy anti-Borg combat. It was to make Voyager a palisade against the Collective and Voyager exclusively. While it could be tailored for other vessels, what was the need in retrofitting an older ship with it outside of this unique case? And newer starships could simply have it added as part of their constant armour, if they were expected to need it. So it would appear indistinguishable from regular hull plating. This combined with the temporal issues and Borg awareness of it, in my opinion, is why Starfleet opted not to develop it further in the Prime timeline. And if they did, it was probably in a more subtle way that wouldn't be as obvious as the badass armoured Voyager of Endgame. And yes, it was totally badass. What do you think? Will we ever see it again? Maybe even an improved version? Which nullifies my entire argument here. Could happen. So until the next video, thanks again for watching. I've been Rick, and goodbye.